for two. Kickers are extra, I give them the boot. Ooh, going for two. Sit back, relax while I grab me a brew. Ooh, now I'm reclining while putting my time and I'm ready to go. My spine is aligning and much my lineups, my bank account grow. I am so rich, but knowledge is all that I'm leaving it with. Ooh, listen to this, multiple options, how far can I get? Ooh, DFS Dynasty redraft tonight, I'm not finishing last. I'm finishing past any and all, I am looking to last. What else? This spot is popping and I am so locked in and only opening the door when it is opportunity knocking. And all of these spots keep on talking and talking. So what are we talking? What kind of alignment? And running it deep, even players forgotten or came from the bottom or hitting that top. And this spot is popping, yeah, this spot is popping. And woo! This is the armchair, yeah. Put up your arms, yeah. Sound the alarm, yeah, yeah, yeah. Woo!
What is going on, guys, and welcome to episode 362 of the Armchair Fantasy Show. I'm your host, of course, Geoff Lambert. You can follow me on Twitter at JeoffLambert77. Of course, we're live here on the Going for Two Live podcast network every Wednesday on Facebook Live, Twitter, YouTube, Twitch, and our own website now, goingfor2.live. We have all of our audio and video loaded up there. And, of course, we're on all major podcast networks. If you're on YouTube right now watching us, please hit that like and subscribe button. It helps us out a ton. I'm here with my co-host who looks different tonight. He looks married tonight. What's up, Ryan? And congratulations, man.
She did walk through the background too.
Yeah. Did she?
Yeah.
Yeah, man. It's glad to be back after a couple weeks off. Feel like a new man.
Good stuff, man. Good stuff. Congratulations once again. I know I said it on Facebook, but just to say it in person, congratulations.
Appreciate it, man. Yeah, I read like 6% of the Facebook things, but I saw a bunch of names like, cool, thank you. You say it once because you can't say
can't respond to everybody. Nope.
It's insane if you do. Like you have too much time in your hands and not enough life. But it's cool. But I appreciate everybody.
Absolutely. All right. Also joining us tonight, he's been on the show quite a few times, formerly of Going for Two, but he is the host of Red Zone Redemption and a contributor at rotoheat.com, Mr. Shane Barrett. And you can follow him on Twitter at FFShaneB. What's up, Shane?
What's up, Jeff? I don't know why you still let me come on this show. You must really actually like me, at least a little bit. Me and Ryan disagree about the college football playoff, but
we're not
I'm happy.
You're happy for stupidity. I get it. Let's keep moving on.
I am happy to be here and really looking forward to this nonsense draft. I pulled some deep ones, I think. I hope.
I love it. So real quick, for my listeners that don't know who you are, give them an idea of what you do at Red Zone Redemption and what you do over at Roto Heat.
Yeah, so Red Zone Redemption is my podcast. I'm on a bit of a hiatus right now, but planning to probably bring it back in the off season. Mixing fantasy football, more leaning towards the dynasty side with a little bit of discussion around faith. It's a big part of me. My hat says saved. I think it's the one that I'm wearing, but that's my focus there. And then Roto Heat, I am a ranker for Dynasty, Devy, and the 2024 rookie class. Nice. And then doing whatever I can to help break out there. And then you guys both know I've got Pauly's playoff. We're obviously in the thick of that right now with the playoffs coming up next week. But year 5 is going to be a doozy. It should be a lot of fun. So be paying attention and follow me on Twitter over there for announcements about Pauly's playoff for year 5.
Good stuff, man. Good stuff. All right. As always, guys, tonight's podcast is brought to you by Underdog Fantasy. Check out their best ball leagues. They got huge tournaments, private leagues. We're about to be entering into best ball season here in a couple months. So you definitely want to get signed up there. Pick'ems, of course, for all major sports. So I know, the football season is kind of winding down, but they're going to have, obviously playoffs, NFL playoffs. They got NBA. They got every sport. So you go jump on there, do some pick'ems. Use our promo code when you do that. GF2 is the promo code. Get a deposit match up to $100. It's as simple as that. Go get the app. Use promo code GF2, and they will match you up to $100. So if you go there, deposit $100, you now have $200 to play. So it's a great app. It's one of the most simple apps to use. It's even simpler than DraftKings or FanDuel because it's very straightforward. We'll actually do a couple pick'ems on tonight's show as well. Speaking of tonight's show, we have a great show planned. We'll do our typical Spade or Fade, which is our version of the sit starts. We're going to do some end of season awards because I forgot to mention that tonight is our last season long show of the season. Me and Ryan have never done the playoffs before, and this year it seemed to end a little bit earlier than normal. But it is our last week until next year. So we'll do that. We'll do some end of season awards, listener questions, and of course we'll kick it off with the aforementioned nonsense draft.
Attention, everyone. Let's mock draft.
All right, and tonight, and I got this idea off of Twitter. I stole this idea. I liked it a lot, so I told the guy I'm gonna steal it and use it for our show. And this is what it is. Today we are drafting if you were murdered and you could hand pick a fictional character to solve your murder. A fictional character to solve your murder, and you can, as usual, there's no rules. Whatever you want to pick. If you want to pick a fictional cartoon character, go have at it. Okay. And Shane, you're first up here, so give me your 101 here.
Okay, I'm going with the one that I thought would be more likely for you guys to pick here. So I'm going Scooby-Doo.
Damn it, that was
the Mystery Machine Crew. That's my 101.
Yeah, that's a good one. I had that on my list as well. That would have been my top pick.
I was gonna do that second, and then you said something about cartoons, and I'm like, I'm gonna do that one.
Yeah, I ordered them, I think, in the order of likelihood that you guys will pick them. If you guys pick any more of the other ones I have on the list, I'm screwed. So don't get.
You only put 3 down on your list.
I've got 4.
Fair enough. All right, so yeah, let me scratch that one off my list. Ryan, you got the 102 here.
So I don't want my murder to just be solved. I want vengeance to be brought down on them. And I don't care if they get the right people or not. He's going to take out everyone in the way, just like when his dog was killed, and that was John Wick.
John Wick.
Solid choice.
That's a great choice. I wouldn't even think in that route, but yeah, 100%. Love that pick.
The Punisher's also a good one.
Yeah. That was what I first thought when you were talking about just punishing everybody on the way there. But yeah, good call on that one. All right, so I'm up here at the 103, and I'm gonna go with a weird one here because mine are after the 2 you just did. Mine's kind of boring if I go with my true 101 that I put on Twitter. But I'm gonna go with one of my favorite cartoons when I was growing up, and he's actually probably the worst detective out there because his daughter always solved the crimes for him, and I'm going with Inspector Gadget.
Ooh, that's a good one.
Yeah, I used to love that cartoon growing up, and that I think they had made it into a movie.
Yeah.
But, that
when I was a kid.
Yeah, when you were a kid, they made a movie.
Jeff was still listening to him on the radio when he was a kid.
Yeah, right.
It was a radio show at the time.
They were describing the spring coming out of his arm.
All right, so yeah, Inspector Gadget is the 103, and back to you, Shane, for the 104.
Okay, I'm going a little bit more serious here. I'm going Elliot Stabler and Olivia Benson for my 201.
Say who was it again? Say it one more time.
Olivia Benson and Elliot Stabler from Law and Order SVU.
Yeah, Law and Order. Yeah, that was on my list too.
I didn't know that.
Good call. All right, Ryan, you got the 105.
I'm going with the man who was super obsessive, trying to catch himself a serial killer named Dexter, and that's Lieutenant James Dokes from Dexter.
Nice.
That man was just on it. He did not quit until it was too late. I want somebody like that trying to figure out what happened to me.
Good stuff. I love it. I love that pick. All right, I'm up at the 106, and this one I don't think this show's even around anymore. I know it was around a lot when I was a kid, and it was one of my favorite sort of quote unquote more realistic sort of detective. And he was always kind of goofy, and no one really gave him his respect. They didn't think he was a very good detective, and then he ended up solving the crime at the end, and you're kind of like, oh shit. I'm going with Columbo. Did y'all ever watch Columbo? Columbo it was so good because he was such a bumbling idiot, and he would just pretend and everyone would just not give him any respect whatsoever, and he just didn't know what he was doing supposedly. But then at the end of the episode, you'd always figure out that he knew exactly what he was doing and figured it out from the very beginning and played him. So Columbo would be my pick here at the 106.
Very nice. I thought you might be going Monk.
Monk was another one that's very similar to Columbo. They're very similar characters.
Thought you were going Monk. All right, so that's to me now, correct?
Yep.
Oh, I got 2 here.
I got one left, so please don't. But I don't think he will.
I'm going to go off the beaten path with mine and go with a show that I'm actually watching right now. I'm going Bob Lee Swagger from the Shooter series. So there's a movie called Shooter where it's Mark Wahlberg. Then they developed it into a series. In the series, I'm on season 3 now. Oh, it's really good. You should go watch it. But he's a sniper and can take people out from over 1,000 yards easy. So I'm going Bob Lee Swagger.
I like it. All right, Ryan, your last pick here at the 108.
I'm going with a guy who Rick's considers a little bit goofy because it's Andy Sandberg, and he only does comedies. But Jake Peralta on Brooklyn Nine-Nine. He's a little bit weird. He's quirky. He's over the top. But you know what? He always gets his guy. He's kind of brilliant when it's finding clues. And he's going to hit you with a good catchphrase after he does it.
Yeah. That was on my list. Actually, my next choice, you bastard. You took mine. I thought for sure no one would get that one.
I'm obsessed with that show. I love it so much.
All right. So I will round it out here with an iconic character. And I don't know if you could necessarily call him necessarily a detective, but I'm going to go with it anyway. I'm going with Batman. I'm taking Batman.
Ooh, that's a
He's
solid
considered
choice.
the world's greatest detective. So
yeah, so that would I don't see him as a detective. I don't ever see him, but it's Batman. He can do whatever he wants. So I'll take Batman here at the 109.
The Batman movie Twilight guy. He's a detective almost the whole time. It's really good, but it's the Twilight guy. No.
All right, that is the nonsense draft, the last one of the year. Now let's get to some news and notes.
News and notes from around the league.
All right, we can do literally an entire podcast on quarterback injuries right now. I mean, it seems like every single team has a quarterback injury. The latest one here, Trevor Lawrence says he's going to go through rehab around the clock to try to get himself back from a high ankle sprain. I don't see it happening personally. So my question to you, Shane, is what are you doing with the rest of these pieces in this offense here if it's not T-Law? Like, you got ETN there, you got Ingram, you got Calvin Ridley.
So as a Jaguars fan, I think if they're smart, they're going to rely on the run game a little bit more and lean on ETN, potentially Darnell Johnson if you're in a really deep league. But I would probably can you really downgrade Calvin Ridley with the year that he's had so far? That hurts. Like, I've got a lot of Calvin Ridley, so kind of shooting myself there. But I don't know if I'm trusting anyone outside of ETN, to be completely honest with you. Maybe Evan Ingram, maybe, but that's it.
Yeah, it's tough. It's tough in this offense because there's some pretty good pieces in this offense. What about you, Ryan? What are you doing with this offense?
It's literally those two and nobody else. Evan Ingram, tight end's normally a best friend safety valve, best friend of a backup quarterback and protects them. And they'll probably lean on ETN. Who they play this weekend? What are they? Oh, the Browns.
The Browns, yeah.
I trust nobody. This week, I trust nobody.
Yeah.
Because the Browns are going to put everybody in the box.
Have slowed down against the run, but I see what you're saying. Yeah.
Like, I don't feel good about this matchup at all for them. And I don't believe that Trevor Lawrence is not going to miss a week.
You think he will play?
No, I don't think he's. I think he's going to miss more.
Yeah, I think he's.
I think they're just trying to play coy about it.
Yeah,
and seeing where they are.
I mean, to say that he's in a rehab around the clock to get this high ankle sprain, fixed.
He did it last year.
Does he not?
That's how you get hurt. Do not rush him back, man.
Yeah.
Be smart.
Agreed. All right, we'll stay in that division. Some terrible news because I actually really like this guy this year, Mr. Tank Dell, who's having a huge season. Of course, he is now done for the season, and I'm gonna go to you first, Ryan, on this one. What does it do with the rest of the pieces? Obviously, we know Nico Collins is probably going to get more targets, but, is there anybody else in this offense that's going to benefit from the absence of Tank Dell?
I was going to say Nico Collins, I think, is going to just get fed a whole lot. I don't think it's going to really hurt CJ Stroud a ton just because he's been so good. He spreads the ball around. And the other one I think we saw a little bit touch of it recently is I think Brevin Jordan's going to be a little bit more in tune with the game. I like the upside of him being that athleticism down the middle.
Yeah, that's a good call. Well, what about Noah Brown? Anything on Noah Brown?
Dude. No.
He had those couple of games where he was a superstar. Like
Noah Brown, dude, that's Noah Brown's career. Noah Brown has every season in the NFL, he's had like a 2-catch 85 and a touchdown game. And then
if someone gets hurt.
Then 13 weeks later, whether it's the same season or the next season, he has 4 catches, 112, 2 touchdowns, and then he disappears and he doesn't have that much total the rest of the season.
Yep.
It's fool's gold.
Yeah. Jamie's pumping up Xavier Hutchinson in the chat there. Shane, any interest in him at all?
If you're in a deep league, and I know him and Mike were talking about it last night on the cheat sheet, like if you're in a deep league, I like Xavier Hutchinson, but I'm not starting him yet.
No.
Like there's no way he's touching my starting lineup at this point.
I think you're gonna find out who you can start from that, but I'm not taking the chance to start the game this week.
Yeah. Agreed.
The only other player I would consider is Dalton Schultz if he comes back healthy, obviously.
Yeah.
I could see him getting an uptick with Dell out.
100%. All right, let's move into some Patriot news here.
Do we have to?
Yeah, like for real.
Do we have to? Demario Douglas, not so fancy relevant there, but Rhamondre Stevenson's the big one. He's been officially ruled out now. And my question to you, Shane, if you're the proud owner of Ezekiel Elliott, how comfortable do you feel firing him up this week?
I'd feel pretty comfortable this week. I don't think Pittsburgh's super good against the run, if I remember correctly. And
they've got shredded this week.
I think he'll be serviceable.
They gave up 105 to James Conner, dude.
Oh yeah, I mean I could easily see Zeke matching that, and I hope that's not too bold, but I could see him matching that. I think there's similar talent level.
Yeah, I think that Patriots, essentially the way they're built, are going to have to lean on the run, and Zeke's all they got there. Is there anybody behind Zeke that I'm forgetting? I mean, it's Zeke and then nobody else really, right?
No, I don't think so. No.
Yeah, I can't think of anybody else behind Zeke. What are your thoughts on Zeke, Ryan?
Can I just skip to my Spade, my fade for my Spade versus Fade and just
go
get
ahead,
one now? Huh?
Yeah, go ahead.
We'll just get this one out of the way. I am fading the entire Thursday night game and everybody involved in it on both sides.
Good with that.
Yeah,
I'm
like I want
very good with that.
I want no parts of anything from these games. The Patriots, the Steelers playing against each other. The Patriots defense is good. I want none of it. This is done. Count me out, dude. They stink. Stunk.
I think
the Grinch would be proud to leave the Patriots offense under your Christmas tree. Just abort.
That was awesome. Yeah, I told my wife in the car on the way home tonight that this game Thursday could legit end in a 0-0 tie.
Yeah.
Oh God, I hope not. I hope for nothing more. That would be the only salvageable thing to make me want to watch the game is the chance that it could be a 0-0 tie. If not, I have zero interest and I'll just watch reality TV.
Yeah, I think the funny thing is a friend of mine's a big NBA fan, and I think the NBA like this little mid-season championship thing is going on. And a game at 9:00. I'm definitely watching that, even though I've been kind of making fun of it. An in-season champion.
It's awesome.
Yeah,
Luka got himself a first half triple double right now.
Yeah, I think my Pels are actually playing the Lakers at 9:00, so I'll be watching the Pelicans play the Lakers instead of watching NFL.
Dude, the world's only Pelican fan and the world's only Jaguars fan. This is super cool to have you guys in the same place.
We're like unicorns. We're unicorns right now. All right, let's roll these last two quarterback injury news into one. Derek Carr potentially not going to play, which means Jameis Winston would get the start here. And then Kenny Pickett in the game we just talked about. Is there anything we can do with this news here, Shane, other than like just throw up basically?
If you have a chance to start Jameis Winston, I'm saying why not?
Yeah.
Like you've got to just for the experience at this point. But I want nothing to do with I want nothing to do with Trubisky. I don't think Pickett is very good. Trubisky's not an upgrade.
No, that's sad. Give me Trace McSorley there. Dude, I think it's an uptick for all the Saints though with James.
Yeah,
Jameis is going
Maybe.
to sling it. Jameis might make
Sling
some bonehead mistakes, but guess what? That's going to keep him throwing, baby.
Yep, I agree. I think for especially for a guy like Chris Olave, we
Yeah.
saw Jameis Winston make Mike Evans and Chris Godwin, superstars in this league just by slinging it. He may throw 3 interceptions, but you know what? That doesn't affect Olave.
Nope.
As
And
long as
it's
he
still going
keeps
to give you
throwing it.
fantasy points.
Yeah, as long as he keeps throwing it, it doesn't matter. So,
The only person I'd be concerned about potentially is Kamara.
yes, there will be no checkdowns. Winston is either like get sacked or throw a 30-yard,
Yeah,
40-yard pass.
they'll still call the run with them.
Yeah. And they're playing Carolina, if I remember correctly. So there's definitely running opportunity against Carolina.
Oh yeah, they're all bad at everything.
All right, let's go ahead and jump into Spade or Fade.
Spade or Fade.
All right, if you've been watching the show all year, Spade or Fade is basically our sit starts. And Ryan already gave us one of his fades. He's fading the entire Thursday night game, which I don't blame him whatsoever. So let's start with let's go ahead and just start with fade since Ryan already gave us one. Shane, go ahead and give us one of your fades.
I'm gonna give you a deep cut fade, I think, potentially. And it's someone on a team we already talked about, and that's Parker Washington for the Jaguars against Cleveland. Christian Kirk is out. He had a really good game last week. It's going to be very, very tempting. Don't do it. Please don't do it.
Yeah, he was
one if
Brad.
I know that Beathard and him have that second team connection, but Cleveland is second against fantasy wide receivers, and I still think he'd probably end up being third or fourth in the pecking order of receiving. Do not start Parker Washington, no matter how tempting it is. Yeah.
Dude, it's sad if that's tempting right now for you.
I
get it, but it's sad if you're starting him with no Trevor Lawrence. If Trevor Lawrence is in, I'd maybe be tempted.
Yeah.
Oh, it's you're having a rough season. You're probably not in that playoff hunt, baby.
Yeah, it's rough out here right now. All right, so my fade here. We just talked about this game a little bit, so we're talking about the Carolina side. I'm fading Adam Thielen. He has not been as good as he was early in the season. Like we kind of called it. He's a little bit older. Bryce Young has struggled crazily, and then of course they fire their coaching staff and the Saints. Defense. Say what they will about them, but they're pretty good against the pass. And I think Thielen. Obviously, if you've been playing him all season and he's been good for you, you may have to start him. I'm just not expecting too much from him this week. And if you got a better option, I think I'd go with somebody else over Adam Thielen. So he's one of my fades this week if you can afford to fade him. Let's do spades, Ryan. What you got for a spade?
I'm taking my 100 pick for the week, and I'm thinking Isaiah Likely. I think we saw him start to get involved in the offense this week. He had 6 catches, 40 yards. No matter what, Andrews or not, we've seen tight end be important in Baltimore, even with new wide receivers there. We've seen him put a 100-yard game as a starter with a touchdown before. And they shouldn't have that much. They have to pass a little bit more and dump off quicker with the pass rush and still have an Aaron Donald crash in the middle on them. So I think you might see a lot of safety valves from Likely.
Yeah, that's a good call. Spade, what you got for Shane?
Okay, do I tickle Jamie's fancy or do I make a homer pick?
We'll go around
it's the last show of the season. Make Jamie feel good.
Okay, I'll make Jamie feel good. I'm starting Elijah Moore this week. He's only got 1 game since their bye week with less than 5 targets. He had 12 last week and I think 9 the week before. I think the full week with Flacco and Flacco being the starter, plus Moore has the speed to get the yak, that could get him some nice fantasy points.
Yeah, he's been decent lately, and Flacco seems to have that connection with him coming back to the Jets. So I like it. All right, I'm going to go with my boy. If y'all listen to the DFS podcast, I've hyped this guy up the last couple of weeks, and I've been correct on taking him. Even last week when he had a terrible, quote-unquote, terrible matchup on paper with Patrick Surtain. Nico Collins went out against Patrick Surtain and had a career game. So Nico Collins against the Jets, again, tough matchup on paper. I think he's just that good, honestly. And I think him and Stroud have a good connection. I know everybody was all hyped about the Stroud to Tank Dell connection, but when you really look at it, Nico Collins was still getting more targets than Tank Dell. Tank Dell was just getting the big plays down the field. So he was getting more of the media attention, but Nico Collins is the alpha in that offense, and I think he continues to be an alpha in a tough matchup against the Jets. So start Nico Collins with confidence this week.
I completely agree.
All right, let's do one more fade, one more spade each. So just do one of each, Ryan.
At the same time, or we're rotating?
Do one and then do the other.
I'm gonna go with fade. Quentin Johnson. It's done. The experiment's over for me. It might maybe in a season down the line, but right now he's bad. He's dropping balls. They have no faith in him. They're sputtering. I want no parts of it.
Yeah, I think I saw a stat. I forget where I saw it at, that there's eight or nine receivers taken after him in the draft that have more yards than he does. And some of the guys on the list, I mean, are late round guys. It's insane how
Parker Washington on that list.
After this past week, he might be. That's right.
Oh man,
I had two spades listed. One is one of the guys drafted after him. That's Jaden Reed. I
one.
really like what we're seeing him. I like the matchup against the Giants. I love Jaden Reed, man. I think he's going to be a really good football player, and we're seeing more and more every week.
Yep, he's been amazing. And Christian Watson, I don't believe plays this week, so I think he gets even more of an uptick, I believe. So, yeah, I like that. He might be the best receiver in that offense, honestly. Jaden Reed.
I think he is. I legit believe he is.
Yep. Shane, give us a spade and a fade.
All right, I'm gonna follow in Ryan's footsteps and go fade here. I'm going Jerry Jeudy. I was on a show last night with Triple Play Fantasy and said I was ready to cut him, actually. He only has 3 top 30 weeks all season. They were all a combination of some form of wide receiver 29 or 30. He does not have a top 24 week all season. And other than week 11, he doesn't have more than 4 targets in a game since the bye week and doesn't have more than 7 in a game all season. So yeah. I am not touching Jerry Jeudy.
Yeah, you could probably fade him in your drafts next season too, because I think it's done for him.
Yep.
Yeah, it's unfortunate.
And then my spade, I'm gonna take the homer pick here so I can avoid picking the same game as Ryan. And I'm gonna go Baker Mayfield here against Atlanta. They're playing at Atlanta, so they're in a dome. Don't have to deal with weather. 17.2 PPR points last time they played. Finished as QB 11, and they still have a shot at winning the division. So I'm going Baker here.
Yeah, I like that call. He's been really good this year. He's been someone that we've played in DFS sometimes because he's cheap, and he's been good. And shout out to Mike Evans, 10 seasons now of 1,000 yards, only the second receiver to ever do it. Jerry Rice did it.
Mike Evans is so good and never respected. He will be a value of fantasy next year too.
Yep,
he's a first ballot Hall of Famer, I think.
Yes,
yeah, I agree. I 100% agree. All right, I will wrap it up here. I will kick it off with the spade, just to be different than the two of you, and I'm going to go with DJ Moore. He, in the last game that they played against Detroit, he went 7 for 96 and a touchdown, and that was just in Fields' first game back, and Fields only threw 16 passes in that game, and DJ Moore caught 7 of them for 96 yards and a touchdown. So I think that going to Detroit, actually they're at home this time versus Detroit. I think Fields and DJ Moore have a good connection, and if you were thinking about benching him because the Detroit defense is good, I would continue to keep playing DJ Moore out there. I think he's going to be a solid player going forward for the rest of the season. And then my fade, I'm going to that Jaguars game that we talked about. You're probably going to start this player because he's been that good all season. You can't really bench him. But Evan Ingram, the Browns rank number 1 versus the tight end this year. They've actually shut down pretty much every tight end that go up against them. Evan Ingram won't be any different. I think that, especially with the backup quarterback, he could probably maybe get there on targets. He gets a couple targets and catches a couple passes in a PPR league. Maybe he gets there, but I wouldn't expect a big game from Evan Ingram. So he is my fade here. All right, let's do our pick'em of the week.
Prop bet of the week.
All right, let's see. I'm gonna kick it off with you first, Shane. Give me your prop bet here.
Cool. Go to the Tampa game for me.
Son of a bitch.
I hope I didn't pick the same person.
All right.
I'm taking Rashad White higher than 3.5 receptions.
That's a pretty good bet right there.
Rashad White. The last time they played, he had 6 receptions. on 6 targets, and they just gave up 6 receptions on 8 targets to Breece Hall. So I'm taking Rachaad White, and I think I just sniped the bejesus out of Ryan.
I've never had this happen. My bet. We've done this the entire season. We've never had the bets on the same player.
Yep,
before.
that's right.
I had a different bet. I had Rachaad White, but I had a different bet for him.
Yeah, they won't let me do 2 of the same player, unfortunately.
Yeah, I had him at over 80.5 total yards because he's had 6 of the last 7 games, including against Atlanta. So give me a minute while you do yours.
All
Jeff,
right, I will do mine, and I will be going Homer on mine, and I am taking Mr. Brock Purdy, and I'm going to go with his passing yards, and I'm going to go lower than the 257. Ooh. I don't usually take the lower. I don't think that they're going to have to do a whole lot against this Seattle team. I think it's going to be a lot of Christian McCaffrey. I think Deebo Samuel, gets a lot of rushing yards. And I think they're going to be so efficient that he doesn't have to put the ball up that much. So I'm going to go lower the 257.5 passing yards for Brock Purdy. Was that enough time for you to find another one, Ryan?
Oh, yeah, dude. I got a slam dunk one. I almost feel like this one's a cheat code. David Montgomery over half a touchdown.
I like it.
Receiving. Dude, he's hit it in 8 out of 9 games this season.
Way to recover.
Yeah.
It almost feels like a bullshit bet. And I shouldn't, it was too choppy.
Shouldn't be allowed.
Yeah, dude. He just scores touchdowns and he's great at it.
All right, let's drop my $5 on here. Let me recap it before I do that. Recap, we got Rachaad White higher than 3.5 receptions. I think that's a slam dunk. I think mine's potentially the one that could break it, but Brock Purdy lower than 257.5 passing yards, and David Montgomery going higher than half a rush or receiving touchdown, and that is our pick'em for the week. Let me click submit and drop the $5 on there. All right, and as always, guys, if you want to sign up for Underdog, it's that simple to play. It takes only a few minutes to put together your prop bets and use our promo code GF2. Get a deposit match up to $100. All right, now we are going to get into our end of season awards. Like I mentioned, this is our last show of the season. We don't do fantasy playoffs. So we got 9 different categories we're going to go through here. And I'll kick it off here with the fantasy bounce back player. And I'm going to start with you, Shane.
Cool. We talked pre-show. You want me to give my honorable mention too?
Yep, give them both.
Cool. So the actual winner of this award is Dak Prescott. Finished as QB 18 last year, is currently QB 3, and is having an absolutely phenomenal year. Love Dak, love what he's doing. Happy that he's bouncing. Yeah. Yep. Yeah. And then my honorable mention is my Spade in Baker Mayfield. He's currently on pace for his second best by points fantasy finish, and could tie his best, if he maintains his position, his best fantasy performance so far. And that was after finishing, I think it was QB 29 last year.
Yeah, good call. Good call. Ryan, what you got for your bounce back player?
I feel like it's not a huge bounce back. So I think it's just kind of like a bounce back for how the fantasy football community views him. And that's DJ Moore. He's having probably one of the best seasons of his career. We haven't seen him in that top 10 yet. And he has 1,000 yards already, dude, after an atrocious year in Carolina. With as bad as Chicago is, he's balling out. And there's a chance his situation even gets better next year. I love this for him. I know it's not a complete bounce back because he didn't suck, but he definitely underperformed.
Yeah, I think a lot of people were down on him too, just in general, because he was kind of just a 4 touchdown a year game guy. You know what I mean? We talked about him quite a bit on our show, and the whole fantasy community was down on him. So I like that call. All right, so like Shane, I have 2. I wrote down 2 in case one of y'all took mine, but I'll give both of them. The one that I'm going to give the award to, this is the winner, is a guy that I love a lot. If you watch the DFS show on Friday, I actually call him Copy Paste, because I just copy paste his name to the show sheet every single week, because I play him every week. And this week, unfortunately, this year he got too expensive. I couldn't play him every week. But that's Mr. Keenan Allen. Of course, had a lot of injuries last year. I think he ended up at receiver 42 last year. This year, absolutely smashing it. I think he is, is receiver 3 or receiver 2 on the year, just a little bit behind Tyreek Hill. He's been catching touchdowns, which is really the key for him. I mean, he's always been a target monster and a PPR monster, but this year he's getting the touchdowns to go along with it. So I'm giving the award to Keenan Allen. And I'm going to give the honorable mention to a guy that just came off of a huge game, had 3 touchdowns in probably the biggest game of the season. I'm going with my team, the 49ers, Mr. Deebo Samuel. Of course, had a very bad season after coming off a very good season 2 years ago. Had an injury-riddled season, didn't do a whole lot. He's kind of had a bit of a resurgence here in this offense. And, of course, remaining healthy is a big thing for him as well. So Deebo is my runner-up.
Solid choice.
Let's go breakout player here. We'll go with you first this time, Ryan.
So I was going to go super chalk and say same person who I think everyone's saying for rookie of the year. So I'm kind of going a little bit weird there. And I think it's a full breakout into him being a perennial top 12 wide receiver, and that's Michael Pittman Jr.
Nice.
We've
I
seen
love that.
he's having the best year of his career. He's going to have, as long as he stays healthy, he's going to have his top performance in everything. He's become an absolute target monster. We're up that 120 range already with 5 games left. Dude, I love what we're seeing out of him. And their quarterback situation is not even there yet, but he's still every week, no matter who was starting, 8 targets a week, almost guaranteed minimum. I love that for him. And that's what I want out of a future wide receiver 1.
Yeah, he's an absolute beast, and I'm very disappointed because I traded him away this past offseason. I thought we had seen, his ceiling at that point, and I traded him away, and now I'm regretting it, which I had kept him on my fantasy team. But
we're at 7 straight top 20 performances for him.
Wow, that's impressive.
I love it. I have a lot of Michael Pittman this year too, so I love that pick, Ryan.
All right, what you got?
Yeah, I'm going with your team, Geoff. Brock Purdy.
I like it.
I feel like it's a bit of a dark horse pick, but he's currently QB7. He's got a 23-6 touchdown to interception ratio and 2 rushing touchdowns. I don't have much more to say. He's just been really, really good and really consistent. That was the other thing. He only has 1 single-digit fantasy game.
Browns.
Yeah, it was against the Browns. He had 6.7. Everything else has been at least double digits.
Yeah, he's even surprised me, and he's an MVP candidate now.
That's the real question. Is he your MVP right now, Geoff, taking your fandom aside?
If I was to choose right now, I think he would be my MVP choice. However, I do think that I don't know if he can sustain that sort of momentum because it's not often that he's asked to throw 4 touchdowns like he was this past weekend. It's not often that we're putting up 42 points. I think his stats will kind of come back down to earth over these last couple of games. And I think someone like Dak Prescott may end up having the more flashier numbers.
I think it should be a quarterback this year.
Tyreek?
I think it should be Tyreek.
I think, Tyreek or even Christian McCaffrey should be in that.
If Tyreek gets 2,000 yards this year, which is
very possible.
He needs 100. He needs 110 per game, I think.
Yeah.
He has almost as many receiving yards as McCaffrey has total yards.
Yeah. It's insane. You're right.
He's a game changer, dude. There's nobody like him right now.
Yep. 100%. All right. So my breakout player, we kind of talked about him a little bit already on the podcast. Coming into the season, this team didn't have a quote unquote number 1 receiver. Turns out they probably had 2 number 1 receivers. But one of them just got hurt. But Nico Collins is my breakout player. No one really saw this coming. He was a rookie that didn't do a whole lot. No one expected much from him coming into the season. They were drafting him as maybe he's the number 1, receiver on this offense, and I can get some fantasy production out of this guy. But he's been an absolute monster, especially over the last couple of weeks. He's been absolutely killing it. I just mentioned that he lit up Patrick Surtain, who had shut down pretty much everybody at that point, and he had a career day. So Nico Collins is my breakout player. Let's go biggest bust, Ryan.
I'm going. There's so many.
There's a lot.
There's a lot. I'm going with Austin Eckler, man.
That's a good one.
He's playing he looks so bad running the ball. He's still decent as a receiver, but for what his price tag was, and him averaging 3.5 a carry, in his age, dude, he's done. He's dead to me at this point.
Yeah.
That cliff came we talk about that cliff coming quick.
It came
For a lot
fast
of
for
folks,
Austin Eckler.
It came fast.
Yeah.
I know he's still running back 26, but man, you took him top 5. That's gross.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah, it is tough. And I had Eckler on my list as well as one of the biggest busts. And you're right. I mean, it just, and we thought he'd be different. I know he's gotten to that, that age where we think running backs slow down, but we thought it'd be different because he hadn't had the wear and tear that some running backs do. I think he's never had 1,000-yard rushing season. And, he's been a monster in fantasy, but he's not been a typical running back. But that age cliff came quick. He definitely fell off. So, yeah, I'm with
him
you
and Derrick Henry are the complete opposite. Like Derrick Henry, you expected that cliff to come because he's big and physical. No, they flip-flopped.
Yeah.
Nothing makes sense.
Agreed. All right, Shane, what you got for your biggest bust?
This one's personal to me, and it hurts. T. Higgins. I know now, injuries aside, more than half the games that he's played have been single-digit fantasy points, and that sucks for where you probably drafted him and the expectation that you had for him. So week 1, a big fat goose egg. Then he has 28.9 in week 2, and then he has a 4-point game and a 3-point game in weeks 3 and 4. He missed 5 for injury, 4 in Seattle by 11, 19, and then the injury, and then 6.6 this week. Like, it has been rough rostering T. Higgins, and I have rostered him in a lot of places.
Yeah, that is tough.
You know what, though? I bet he is one of our top candidates for bounce back next year.
Bounce back.
Oh, 100%. Because if he's not in Cincy for whatever reason, he can be a team's wide receiver 1.
Even
if he's in Cincy,
he still might be healthy.
He might be healthy, and Burrow will be healthy.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Hopefully.
All right, so my biggest bust actually was Austin Eckler, so I'll take the second guy I had, my runner-up, and he's been a little bit better lately. He has one of the worst touchdown efficiencies in the NFL. I think at one point in the season, he had the most red zone carries without scoring a touchdown. Mr. Tony Pollard. We kept recommending him on the DFS show, saying that it has to come back to earth. Like, he has all these red zone carries, and he just was not scoring touchdowns. At one point, I think he had twice as many as the guy below him and still had no touchdowns. Like I said, he's had a little bit better lately. He's come on a little bit more recently, but I think overall, if you took Tony Pollard, you probably got him in the high second round, and you've been disappointed most of your season. So, yeah, he's my biggest bust. Next to Austin Eckler, who I had originally. All right, this next one's going to be a kind of a new category. I just kind of came up with it. I'm talking about washed up player of the year, guys that maybe we thought were going to be good coming in, or maybe they've been good in the past. Kind of like you just talked about Austin Eckler. But who is the player that, next year, Shane, you just won't be drafting because you think he's just washed up?
I'm just taking this opportunity to completely shit on Deshaun Watson. Dude has not been good since he's been in Cleveland consistently enough, especially to the level that he played in Houston. And there's this meme or something going around on the internet where you see Deshaun Watson chilling with his feet up in the stands and Joe Burrow sitting on the sidelines looking at a Surface tablet. Like, give me the Burrow guy in this situation. I just think Deshaun Watson's a scum of the earth human being. And he's proving it on the football field too. Like, he was cleared to play earlier in the season and did not come back when he had the opportunity. And the amazing thing, the Browns are 7-5 and in the playoff hunt.
Yeah. Yep.
And he's played 6 games, I think.
Yep.
So I already wasn't drafting him for personal reasons, but I don't think I'm going to continue drafting him next year.
Yeah, 100%. I like that one. I hadn't even considered him. That's a really good call. Ryan, what you got for your washed-up player?
So I definitely combined those last two into the same thing under my brain. But
you can go Austin Eckler again if you want.
No, that's cheap. I'm gonna go with the king of the slant route himself, Michael Thomas.
Yeah.
Even with like him playing majority of the games, he's had one top 24 finish in a game this season. It was like 22. It's done, dude. It's Chris Olave's team, and he's just an ancillary piece. Even in games with 8 targets, 9 targets, he's getting like 40 yards.
Yeah,
Yeah.
He's washed.
he's washed. The injuries caught up with him. I love it. Yeah, good call. All right, so I had a hard time finding a washed-up player that I really liked, so I ended up going with one that's probably kind of boring and sort of.
Oh, I didn't realize we had to like the player.
It
It doesn't say liked.
Yeah, maybe you're right.
He said he used to be good.
Yeah, used to be good, I guess is the terminology that I use. So okay, fair enough. This is still a guy that used to be good. He had a couple good seasons. We kept predicting him to sort of break out, and then he had an injury, came back from the injury. This was the year, like, oh, he's back from the injury. He's fully healthy. He's going to be the number 2 receiver in this offense. He's going to break out. He's going to be a big-time player.
I think I know who it is.
Michael Gallup.
Oh, not who I thought it was.
Yeah.
Were you thinking Jerry Jeudy?
No, I was thinking Mike Williams.
No, Mike Williams was another option that I had there as well.
Jerry Jeudy was my honorable mention.
Yeah, Michael Gallup is someone that, coming into the season, people are like, oh, he's finally going to be back. He's fully healthy off of his injury. He had a 1,000-yard season, not that long ago. He's going to be the secondary piece to CD Lamb and yada, yada, yada. And it just has never happened. I bought into the hype. I bought him cheap on a couple dynasty leagues, thinking that he'd eventually come back to what he was, and just never has. So I'm giving up on Michael Gallup this year or forever.
Ouch.
All right. Yeah, Jamie's saying I should choose Alexander Madison.
But he was never good.
All right.
This has been a negative Alexander Madison podcast from the get-go.
Yeah, it has.
Well, you might have been. I don't remember. I've always hated him.
I think I said something to the effect that he's going to get all the volume because there was nobody else there. And that's why I liked him in fantasy, just because he's getting all the volume. But he's been so bad that even with the volume, he sucked. So he got the volume that I thought he was going to get. Just did nothing with it.
Yeah.
All right, let's go fantasy rookie of the year. And this is a year that you can really go a lot of different directions because there's been some really good rookies this year. I'll let you go first, Ryan.
See, I don't want to not say him because, you have to say Puka Nacua because he's been so good, but I'm not. I'm going to Sam Laporta. Tight ends just been so hard to lock down. And if I drafted him, I would be absolutely ecstatic because you just locked up one of the hardest positions in Dynasty for a decade. Sam Laporta has been so good. Jamie puts Stroud in the comments. Again, fantastic. I'm just going off fantasy-wise as the hardest position to fill.
Yeah.
I think Sam Laporta is locked top 5 for the next 5 to 10 years, and he's an absolute star.
Yeah, you were thinking the same mindset that I was as far as being, because I had Laporta as my fantasy rookie of the year as well, because it's the hardest position to fill. And then it's also the position that you have to wait on typically, right? You don't know if you're going to be good. And he was good right off the bat. I remember the very first week that we did our pick'ems, I took Sam Laporta, I think, under 5 receptions, thinking this is a rookie tight end. His first game in the NFL, he's not catching 5 receptions. I think he had 7 receptions or something in that first game.
Yeah, I think it was 7 or 8, yeah.
Yeah, it's been money ever since. So, he was my fantasy rookie of the year. I have another one too, but I'll let you go next, Shane.
CJ Stroud. Yeah, I mean, if you've been paying attention at all to fantasy football and football in general, it's CJ Stroud.
He's so good, dude.
And
unreal.
I love it, but I hate it because he's breaking the cycle of Ohio State quarterbacks being bad in the NFL. But I'm really happy for him because he's just absolutely killing it.
Yeah,
got the player, not the helmet.
So we were all on the same wavelength because my runner-up was off CJ Stroud. So I'll go with the guy that Ryan mentioned and go Puka Nacua. I liked him a lot coming into the season. I had a ton of him in Dynasty. Hyped him up. I actually, in the very first week of our DFS show, he was my sick call, which if you ever watched the show, our sick call is our dart throw players. And I had him as my dart throw in week 1. Of course, he went and balled out. And I smashed that call. But yeah, Puka Nacua I'll go with as a third option here in our rookie of the year.
Dude, this has been a great rookie season for a lot of players.
It really has been. I think Ryan McDowell, I tweeted him something on Twitter, and he went and did some research and did a whole article based on my tweet. And I forget how many it was. There's 8 rookies currently in the top 12 of overall fantasy rankings. And it's the first time it's happened since 1998, which is insane to think about.
For context, people, I was 3 in 1998.
I won't give my age. I was playing fantasy football in 1998.
Geoff was in year 12 of his home league in 1998.
All right. These next two are just our personal. So we'll do a personal victory lap and then a personal guy that you got wrong. And I'll go to you first, Shane. Give me both. For your personal.
Yeah, I was going to combine mine anyway because they play for the same team. And Geoff, you should see this coming from about a country mile away. My personal victory lap is Sam fucking Howell. I was all over that shit all off season. I loved the kid coming out of college. He had the production, didn't understand why he slipped in the draft. And then he's coming in with incredible weapons, a great offensive coordinator, and their offensive line sucks and their defense is even worse. So they had to chuck the ball around, and he's done everything that I hoped for. I think Washington has their quarterback for the future. I hope they give him a shot next year to prove that if they don't feel like he's done enough this year. But for me, it was Sam Howell. And then my miss this year was Jahan Dotson, his running mate. I thought he could finish higher than where he's currently at. He's sitting at wide receiver 45, I think, if I remember correctly. And I was just super high on him. I thought he had the skills and the touchdown upside to finish a lot higher than he currently is. I know he's battled a little bit of injury, but Howell kind of spreads the ball around really well. So, like, all of their receiving options aren't really having as good of a season as I expected. It's kind of been a sum of the parts.
Yeah, and I had Dotson on my list as well, and I got wrong as well. He was somebody that I was high on, and I know Ryan was too. We talked about him a lot in the offseason, so that's a good call. And you were right. You were loving Howell. You were all over Howell. Howell's been good. Ryan, what's your victory lap and your I was wrong player?
I'm doing my wrong first because I want to get it over with. Yeah, I'm not wrong here. Get it. And then, you know what? I deserve to be wrong on this because I hyped up a Steelers player, and I'm an asshole for it because I should never hype up the opponent. That's Najee Harris. I thought he was going to get all this volume this year. I thought he was part of the passing game. I thought like we were having a 350 touch season. He stinks, dude. Like he every once in a while he has a good run, but he is bad. I am done with the parts of that offense.
Yeah.
I would like to counter that he does not stink. Their offensive line is hot garbage.
That's fair. That's fair. But he stinks in fantasy. And you know what? Jalen Warren, he breaks off runs when he's in there.
He's behind the same offensive line, and he's
not that much better. Like from a fantasy perspective, he's not that much better.
Look at on a
no, but that's because of touches.
Yeah, look on a per touch basis. He's Warren's one of the most efficient running backs in the NFL on a per touch basis.
I'm just saying Zeke and Tony Pollard. The same argument was made for years about them.
Yeah, but the thing is, Zeke is putting up fantasy points.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I'm saying that Najee with an offensive line could put up similar numbers.
Yeah, it's potentially there. He looks slow to me for some reason. I just don't see the player I saw his rookie season.
Yeah.
All right, so my victory lap.
Whoa!
I interrupted. Backwards. I apologize.
Go ahead.
I see how it is. Yeah, Brian Robinson, dude. I was Brian Robinson the entire offseason, ever since he came out after getting shot to many men, and they gave him volume. They rushed him back from being shot, and I said he was going to get volume this year. It wasn't the Antonio Gibson show. It wasn't anybody else. They trusted him for a reason, and guess what? He's running back 8 right now, and he's involved in the passing game, which we did not expect. With 29 catches on the year, he's almost 1,000 yards. He's a big part of that offense. And when did this become a Washington Commanders podcast right now? like this is crazy, but I love Brian Robinson. I was high on him. I don't think I came away from a draft without him this year, and I'm real happy about it.
Yeah, that's a good call. And one of the guys I was talking about when I was looking at washed up players, Antonio Gibson came to mind because Brian Robinson's made Antonio Gibson pretty much obsolete in that offense.
Yep,
Brian Robinson's been all that they've wanted and more. So yeah, good call. All right, let's wrap it up here with the fantasy MVP. And there's
Geoff, you skipped your victory lap now.
Oh yeah, you're right. I'm moving ahead of myself, ain't I? Yeah, I'm sorry. I'm looking at the time like, we got 6 minutes. We got to hurry, but I'll do mine real quick here.
That's the last episode of the season.
Yeah, we can run a little long. Jamie won't mind. He's the only one watching right now anyway. All right, personal victory lap. I'm going with Tua Tagovailoa. I hyped him up a lot, and everybody's worried about his injury. I think they're going to find a ways to keep him healthy. They have. They protected him. They've gone to a passing offense that can get the ball out quickly. And I said he was a dark horse MVP candidate. I think, maybe not right now he's not, but I think at one point in the season he was the favorite at one point. And still in the conversation. I don't think he'll get there, but still within the conversation, I think he's a dark horse MVP candidate. He's one of the most efficient quarterbacks in a very powerful offense, and they put up 70 points on a team this year. So I'll take Tua as my victory lap. And as my personal I was wrong player, I thought Ryan was going to take mine because he's going to go to the same team that I was going to when he mentioned the Steelers. I'm going George Pickens. I thought he'd take that step forward and be the alpha in that offense. And it's not all his fault. Some of it is definitely on the quarterback. But I thought he'd have a lot more targets and more volume than he has this season, and he just hasn't got there. I think he can still get there. I'm not ready to give up on him yet. He's made some of the most amazing catches that we've ever seen. Unfortunately, just not happening often enough. But Pickens was a guy I was super high on this offseason and just did not pan out for me. All right, now we will get to the fantasy MVP. And again, this is you can go different directions. You can just pick the highest scoring guy, or you can go with guys that maybe were drafted a little bit later that now you're starting week in and week out. It depends on how you want to look at it, but we'll go to you first, Shane, here. Who is your fantasy MVP?
I think Ryan's about to be pissed because I'm going to steal his, but I'm going to keep it quick. Tyreek Hill. Enough said. That's it.
Yeah,
on pace for 2,000 yards. Come on.
And you probably got him late first, early second, maybe?
Yeah.
That's it.
I'm going to go look at my family league to tell you where I got him.
Yeah, I'm not changing my vote on it. I don't care if it's Tyreek. It's Tyreek, dude. He's been a top 5 wide receiver 9 out of 12 weeks. Top 5 in 9 out of 12 weeks. He's automatic, dude.
Yeah,
even Christian McCaffrey hasn't been that consistent on a week-to-week basis. Tyreek, if he's on your team, you're winning games.
Okay, do y'all want to hear something stupid?
Second round.
Nope.
6.
Nope.
You got him in the third?
Nope.
Don't.
I took him at the 105 in
wow.
in my family league draft.
You don't regret it.
Yeah.
No, I don't.
But
I was surprised I took him that early.
Yep. So I went Homer. I did go Christian McCaffrey. And the only reason why I did is because the position that he plays. Tyreek Hill's been amazing and would deserve the fantasy MVP, obviously, but there's been a lot of good receivers. I mentioned Keenan Allen earlier. Christian McCaffrey plays in the position that it's hard to. All the top guys have been hurt at some point, and knock on wood, has not happened to Christian McCaffrey yet. He's been there every single week. Even the week that he supposedly got hurt, came back and still played. Scored, I think, a touchdown in 17 of the last 18 games. You can't knock that consistency. And I know you probably took him at 102 or 103 in your draft, but I think he's more than paid off, especially with the guys that went around him,
Absolutely.
like Jamar Chase and Justin Jefferson. He's more than paid off his worth. So can't go wrong though with Tyreek Hill either. Of course, you got him a little bit later, and he is an absolute monster.
I actually took Tyreek ahead of Christian McCaffrey.
Wow, you were all in. You're having a pretty good season then in fantasy because you had some really good calls this past year.
Thank you.
All right, so we're gonna cut out the listener questions tonight. We're not gonna be able to get to listener questions. We're gonna go straight into the Forgotten Fantasy Player.
Get ready for goingfor2.com's Forgotten Fantasy Player of the Week.
All right, so me and Ryan haven't been stumped much this year, but I believe, Shane, the last time you came on, you were one of the few that stumped us.
I got you guys with Braylon Edwards.
That's right.
Oh, shit. Yep.
So, all right.
Let's
You
hear
guys
it.
ready? All right, I'll give you some college information first. Went to Minnesota. He's 6'3", had 50 receptions and 5 touchdowns at least in 3 out of his 4 years in college. His NFL career, 439 receptions, 5,816 yards. I can't read. 53 touchdowns with an average 13.2 yards per reception. He played for 3 teams from 2010 to 2017, and I'm going to stop there for now.
2010 to 2017. So the college thing doesn't do nothing for me. I don't know college is worth a damn. So Ryan's better at that than I am. I feel like that's a team that doesn't produce a lot of fantasy players, so it should be.
No, I mean, it's like Rashad Bateman, but he still plays.
Yeah. 2010 to 2017.
Jamie said Eric Decker, but we just had that one. I'm pretty sure he didn't go to Minnesota. 10,
Yeah,
17.
no Googling it,
And
Jamie.
Decker had way more.
All right, give us some more hints here.
Okay. His best year in the NFL was 2013. You want the stat line?
Yeah, let's hear it.
137 targets, 87 receptions, 1,288 yards, and 11 touchdowns.
11 touchdowns, 2013.
Oh my God. I can picture the player, and I think I know the team of his best season, but it's like, I'm blanking.
6'3". I don't know why I keep thinking of short players.
I want to say Jalen Strong, but that's not it. Is it?
No.
All right, give us some more hints.
2010.
His teammate that year finished as a top 3 wide receiver, and he finished at wide receiver 9.
All right, so let's see. 2010 to 2017. Receiver with team with 2 good receivers on it.
Was it a Jaguars receiver?
It's not.
No. Shit. I'm in the wrong place then.
Give us one of the teams, not the team that he was most known for. Like
Okay, the Jets.
the Jets.
It's always the Jet. Every player ends on the Jets.
He all 3 of the teams he played for were in the AFC as well. I don't know if that helps, but
Yeah, I need more.
Dude, we're up to something last week of this year, and I'm gonna be upset.
you need more.
I mean, he said Jet. I mean, Eric Decker is there. I mean, I'm going to say Eric Decker.
It's Eric Decker.
Is it
Is it really?
seriously?
Yeah.
Wow.
Wow, Jamie was right.
Jamie was right.
Good job, Jamie.
Yep.
Good stuff. And see, I think of Eric
Dude,
Decker.
Eric Decker went to Minnesota.
Eric Decker went to Minnesota.
I thought Eric Decker was bigger than 6'3". That's why I limited.
No, he's
No, he's
I
I
thought
thought he was
like
huge.
BYU
I
for
was like
some reason.
6'5".
I thought Eric Decker went to
I
BYU.
think
for some reason.
Demarius was 6'5".
Demarius was huge. Yeah,
Yeah. He
No, he was only 6'3" too.
Jamie hit that with that Eric Decker.
yeah.
He did.
Yeah, we
I
just had
saw
it-
that. I was like, shit.
We just had that. We just had that like 2 weeks, or like we had that recently too. Eric Decker,
Yeah, we did have it this year.
and the clues
Right.
were so different.
Yeah, it's funny how people give different clues. I forget what the
Like
clues were.
they weren't even close to similar clues.
I had one more that his wife was famous. I didn't know if that would help y'all.
What Jesse
Yeah.
Decker?
Mm-hmm.
No, definitely would not have helped me.
Well,
out.
Jamie said, but I'm like, it's not Eric Decker, is it? And no, and like I feel like I was annoyed because I read what Jamie said.
Yeah,
I was trying not to react.
I was like, damn, Jamie got that quick.
He did.
Good job, Jamie. Way to Google it. All right, man. That wraps the podcast up. Shane, thanks again for coming on. I know you were just on. It wasn't Armchair Fantasy Show. It was the PLP. You were just on a couple weeks ago on the show.
Yeah.
Yep. Like I said, we try to get you on a couple times a year. It seems like, but really appreciate you jumping on, man. If you can
of course.
give us one more time your Twitter handle and anything you wanted to plug real quick.
Yeah, you guys can follow me on Twitter at FFShaneB. And other than Poly's Playoff, which is, again, a tournament to end Alzheimer's, I would just say check out Roto Heat if you're looking for something to compare with going for 2. We've got some really exciting stuff coming out for Roto Heat.
Good stuff. Ryan?
Find me Twitter, Foss534. I guess we'll be on hiatus from here, so you won't be finding me here till next year. But it's about to be film season, so I'm start watching some film. So me and Geoff can, I swear and promise, we are going to put out rookie profiles this year.
Yes,
and
we are.
early because I'm ready to start on these now. I'm excited for it.
Yes.
And
This is
find me over at the
Deep
big
class.
Huh?
This is a
I'm excited.
deep class.
I'm excited for wide receiver, not running back. But yeah, find me at Rookie Big Board, Dynasty Big Board Podcast, and boycott the NCAA College Football Playoff Committee because they suck.
All right, guys. As always, you can find me on Twitter at Geoff Lambert77. Like I mentioned, this is our last season-long show, but you can still find me on Friday nights on our DFS show, at least through week 17. And you can also find, I don't know if Ryan's going to be on the show yet or not. He hasn't given me a definitive
What's the
answer.
date on that?
It's our holiday show. It's going to be on December 20th. It's a Wednesday. Essentially, it's just a bunch of the Going for Two live hosts getting drunk and playing trivia. So if you want to tune into that and just have a good time, we're going to have, I got some games planned, some Wheel of Fortune, some Connect 4. Connect 4 trivia is going to be a lot of fun, and a couple other things that we're going to do. So tune in for that, December 20th. And then, as Ryan mentioned, we will be doing rookie profiles this year. We're going to do, I have a nice little format planned that we're going to do a little short, 5-minute guys, just rookies, and we're going to hit as many as we can. Starting in probably somewhere in January, maybe early February, we'll start hitting those. For Shane, for Ryan, I'm Geoff, and we will see y'all next year.